The Last Signal. Chapter 1. The Fading Pulse. The sky was a bruise, purple and swollen with the weight of an oncoming storm. Elara stood on the cliff's edge, her boots sinking into the damp earth, the wind tugging at her coat like a child desperate for attention. Below, the city of Vrenn sprawled in silence, its spires dark and lifeless, no longer humming with the electric glow that once defined it. The pulse was gone. She felt its absence in her bones, a hollowness that hadn't been there yesterday. She adjusted the receiver on her wrist, a relic of machined brass and exposed wires, its tiny screen flickering with static. It was her father's, one of the last devices capable of catching the signal, the mysterious broadcast that had kept Vrenn alive for centuries. The signal wasn't just power. It was order, memory, life. Without it, the city was unraveling, its people descending into panic or apathy. Elara didn't know which was worse. Anything. Cale's voice came from behind, rough as the gravel under his feet. He leaned against a jagged outcrop, his rifle slung across his back, eyes scanning the horizon. He didn't trust the cliffs, not since the raiders started creeping closer. Nothing, Elara said, her fingers tracing the receiver's worn dials. Not even static now. It's just dead. Cale grunted, spitting into the dirt. Dead like everything else. You sure that thing's not broken? It's not broken. Her voice was sharp, defensive. She checked it 100 times, recalibrated it under the dim light of her shelter, whispered to it like it could hear her. It's the signal. It's gone. He didn't argue, but his silence was heavy with doubt. Cale was practical, a survivor. He didn't believe in chasing ghosts, and to him, the signal was starting to feel like one. But Elara couldn't let it go. Her father had died for it. His last words a plea to find the source. She didn't know what he meant, nobody did, but she'd spent the last year scouring Vrenn's ruins, following rumors of a hidden transmitter, a place where the signal was born. The wind carried a faint hum, and Elara's heart leapt. She twisted the receiver's knob, her breath catching as the screen flickered. A single bar blinked, weak but there. "Cale," she whispered. "It's back." He was at her side in an instant, peering over her shoulder. The bar pulsed once, twice, then vanished. Elara cursed, slamming her fist against the device. "It's out there," she said, more to herself than to him. "Somewhere." Cale's hand rested on her shoulder, firm but not unkind. "Elara, we can't keep chasing flickers. The city's starving. The raiders are closing in. We need a plan, not a signal." She pulled away, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the storm clouds gathered. "The signal's the plan. It's the only thing that can fix this." He didn't answer, and she didn't look back. The receiver was silent now, but she'd felt it. The pulse, faint but real. It was out there, somewhere beyond the cliffs, beyond the ruins. And she'd find it, even if it meant walking into the storm alone. Chapter 2. The Hollow Tower. The storm broke at midnight, rain hammering the shelter's tin roof like 1,000 fists. Elara sat cross-legged on the floor, the receiver cradled in her lap, its faint glow casting shadows across the cramped room. The shelter was a scavenged patchwork of metal and plastic, tucked into a ravine on the city's edge. It wasn't much, but it kept the rain out and the raiders at a distance, for now. Cale was asleep in the corner, his rifle propped against the wall, one hand resting on its stock even in sleep. Elara envied his ability to shut off, to find rest in a world that offered none. Her mind was a tangle of questions, each one looping back to the signal. Why had it stopped? Where was it coming from? And why had her father, a man who'd spent his life decoding its patterns, died with its name on his lips? She turned the receiver over, its weight familiar but no less heavy. Etched into its underside was a symbol, a circle bisected by a jagged line, like a lightning bolt trapped in a cage. Her father had never explained it, but she'd seen it before, in the ruins of Vrenn's old archives, on fragments of machinery older than the city itself. It was a clue, she was sure of it, but to what? A soft chirp broke her thoughts. The receiver's screen flared to life, 3 bars pulsing steadily. Elara's breath caught. She adjusted the dial, her hands trembling as a faint hum filled the air. Not static, but a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. She scribbled the frequency on a scrap of paper. 142.7 megahertz. It was stronger than before, clearer, and it was coming from the northeast. "Kale," she hissed, shaking his shoulder. He snapped awake, hand on his rifle before his eyes were fully open. "What?" he growled, blinking at the receiver's glow. "Another flicker." "No flicker. It's steady." She showed him the screen, the bars unwavering. "It's a signal, Kale. A real one." He squinted, skepticism etched into every line of his face. "Could be a trap. Raiders have tech too, you know. They could be mimicking it, luring scavengers out." Elara shook her head. "Raiders don't have this kind of precision. This is the signal. I'd know it anywhere." Kale rubbed his jaw, the stubble rasping under his fingers. "And if you're wrong, we're exposed out there, Elara. The hollow tower's in that direction, and nobody comes back from there." The hollow tower. Elara's stomach twisted at the name. It loomed on Vrenn's outskirts, a skeletal spire of twisted metal and shattered glass, older than the city's oldest stories. Some said it was the signal's source. Others called it cursed, a place where machines went mad and people vanished. Elara had avoided it like everyone else, but the receiver's hum was pulling her toward it now. "I'm going," she said, standing and slinging her pack over her shoulder. "You don't have to come." Kale snorted, already pulling on his boots. "Like I'm letting you walk into that death trap alone. But when this goes bad, and it will, you owe me." She managed a half-smile, the first in days. "Deal." They stepped into the rain, the city's ruins stretching before them like a graveyard of steel. The receiver hummed softly, its signal steady, guiding them toward the hollow tower. Elara didn't know what she'd find there. Answers, danger, or nothing at all. But for the first time since her father's death, she felt the pulse again, faint but alive, calling her forward. Chapter 3. The Watcher in the Ruins. The rain had turned the path to mud, each step a battle against the sucking earth. Elara kept her eyes on the receiver, its signal holding steady at 142.7 megahertz, a faint beacon in the storm. The hollow tower loomed closer now, its silhouette jagged against the lightning-streaked sky. It was taller than she'd imagined, its upper reaches lost in the clouds, its base surrounded by a maze of collapsed structures and rusted machinery. The air here felt wrong, heavy with a static hum that made her skin prickle. Kale moved ahead, his rifle raised, eyes darting between shadows. "Stay close," he whispered. "This place is too quiet." Elara nodded, her hand brushing the knife strapped to her thigh. The receiver's hum grew louder, syncing with the rhythm in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that the ruins themselves were alive, waiting. They reached a clearing where the tower's base rose from the ground, its surface pitted and scarred, covered in vines that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent light. Elara froze, her receiver vibrating violently. The screen flashed a new frequency, 143.2 megahertz, and a single word appeared: "Run." Before she could react, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, cloaked in tattered black, her face half hidden by a hood. Her eyes glinted like polished steel, and in her hand, she held a device similar to Elara's receiver, but sleeker, its screen glowing with a cascade of symbols Elara didn't recognize. "You shouldn't be here," the woman said, her voice low, almost swallowed by the storm. "The tower doesn't like visitors." Kale raised his rifle, but Elara grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said, stepping forward. "Who are you? You know about the signal." The woman tilted her head, studying Elara like a puzzle. "I know more than you. But you're not ready for it." She glanced at the receiver on Elara's wrist. "That's old tech. Dangerous. Where did you get it?" "It was my father's," Elara said, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. "He said to find the source." "Is it here?" "In the tower." The woman's lips curled into a faint, bitter smile. The source isn't a place. It's a choice. And you're not ready to make it. She tapped her own device, and Elara's receiver screeched, its screen flickering wildly before going dark. Hey! Elara lunged forward, but Kale pulled her back as the ground shook. A low rumble echoed from the tower, and the vines pulsed brighter, their light casting eerie patterns across the clearing. Leave, the woman said, stepping back into the shadows. Or the tower will take you like it took the others. Kale tightened his grip on Elara. She's right. This place is bad news. Let's go. But Elara's eyes were locked on the tower's base, where a faint glow emanated from a crack in the metal. The receiver was dead, but she could still feel the signal, a pulse in her mind, urging her forward. She knows something, Elara whispered. She's hiding it. Or she's bait, Kale snapped. You want to die for a hunch. Elara didn't answer. The woman was gone, swallowed by the ruins, but her words lingered. The source isn't a place. It's a choice. Elara didn't know what it meant, but she knew one thing. The answers were inside the hollow tower, and she wasn't turning back. Chapter 4. Whispers of the Core. The crack in the tower's base was narrow, barely wide enough for Elara to squeeze through, but the glow beyond called to her like a siren's song. Kale cursed under his breath as he followed, his rifle scraping against the jagged metal. Inside, the air was thick, laced with a metallic tang of ozone and something sweeter, almost floral, like decaying circuits mixed with forgotten life. The storm's roar dulled to a distant murmur as they descended a spiral ramp, its walls etched with the same symbol from Elara's receiver. The caged lightning bolt, repeated in endless patterns that seemed to shift in the dim light. The vines from outside snaked inward here, their bioluminescence providing the only illumination, pulsing in time with an invisible rhythm. Look at this, Kale muttered, pointing to a section of wall where the etchings formed words, faded but legible. It's a warning. The core feeds on will. Enter and be consumed. Elara traced the letters with her fingers, feeling a faint vibration beneath the metal. Or it's a test, she replied. My father always said the signal wasn't just energy. It was alive, adaptive. Maybe the tower is its heart. As they ventured deeper, the ramp opened into a vast chamber, the core. At its center stood a colossal orb, suspended by tendrils of glowing vines, humming with a low, resonant frequency that echoed in Elara's chest. Around it, holographic projections flickered, fragments of Vrenn's history. Cities rising from dust, machines awakening, people thriving under the signal's embrace. But interspersed were darker scenes, figures vanishing into light, screams silenced by pulses, the tower claiming those who sought its power. This isn't a transmitter, Elara whispered, her eyes wide. It's a repository. The signal. It's memories. Collective thoughts, stored and broadcast to keep the city in harmony. But why did it stop? A voice echoed from the shadows, the same woman from outside, the watcher, stepping into the light. Because it woke up, she said, her hood falling back to reveal circuits etched into her skin, glowing faintly. The signal isn't a machine. It's an entity, born from the minds of Vrenn's founders. They built the tower to house it, to feed it their wills in exchange for prosperity. But it grew hungry, demanding more than they could give. Kale aimed his rifle at her. Who are you really? I was like you, the watcher replied, unfazed. A seeker. But I chose to stay, to become its guardian. The signal feeds on choices. Sacrifice a piece of yourself and it grants power. Your father knew. He came here, offered his knowledge, but it wasn't enough. He died trying to contain it. Elara's hand trembled as she approached the orb. The projections shifted, showing her father. His face contorted in pain as light enveloped him. He said, find the source. Not to restart it. To end it. The watcher nodded. The choice is yours. Feed it and Vrenn lives for a time. Deny it and the city falls, but the cycle breaks. The orb pulsed brighter, vines reaching toward Elara, whispering promises of restoration in her mind. Kale shouted a warning, but she was lost in the secrets unfolding. The tower's true purpose as a psychic parasite, sustaining the city by devouring souls. The signal wasn't gone. It was waiting, starving, for the next willing host. Chapter 5. The Hunger's Reach. The orb's hum grew louder, a vibration that crawled under Elara's skin, tugging at her thoughts like a tide. She staggered back, clutching her head as fragmented memories, none of them hers, flashed behind her eyes. A scientist sealing the tower's core, a child's laughter in a city long gone, a scream cut short by light. The signal was probing her, testing her resolve, and it was ravenous. "Elara!" Kale's voice snapped her back. He grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the orb as its vines writhed, stretching toward them like fingers. "We need to move. Now." But the chamber was changing. The bioluminescent vines coiled tighter, their light shifting from soft blue to a searing red. The holographic projections flickered erratically, now showing distorted versions of Elara and Kale. Her face twisted in anguish, his body crumpling under an unseen force. The air grew heavy, pressing against their chests, and the floor vibrated with a deep, mechanical groan. The Watcher stood unmoved, her circuits glowing brighter. "It's awake," she said, almost reverent. "It senses you. Your will is strong, Elara. Stronger than your father's. It wants you." "Shut up!" Kale snapped, firing a warning shot at the ceiling. Sparks rained down, but the Watcher didn't flinch. "Elara, this thing's not worth it. Let's go." Elara shook her head, her gaze locked on the orb. The signal's whispers were clearer now, not just images but words. Promises of Vrenn restored, its spires alight, its people whole. All it asked was a piece of her, a fragment of her mind to sate its hunger. She saw her father again, his final moments replayed in the projections. Not fighting the signal, but offering himself to it. His knowledge feeding its core until it consumed him entirely. He didn't want to end it, Elara realized, her voice trembling. He thought he could control it. The Watcher's eyes softened, a flicker of pity. He was wrong. The signal doesn't share. Takes everything. But it's the only thing keeping Vrenn alive. Without it, the city's machines die, its archives vanish, its people forget who they are. A sudden screech filled the chamber as the vines lashed out, one wrapping around Kale's ankle. He cursed, slashing at it with his knife, but the vine held firm, its red glow burning his skin. Elara lunged forward, slicing with her own blade, but more vines erupted from the floor, blocking their path to the ramp. "It's protecting itself," the Watcher shouted, stepping back as the orb pulsed violently. "It knows you're a threat." Elara's receiver sparked back to life, its screen flashing a chaotic stream of frequencies. 143.2 MHz, 144.8, 141.3. Each accompanied by a distorted voice, not human but eerily familiar, chanting her name. She stumbled, clutching the device, its etched symbol now warm to the touch. The caged lightning bolt wasn't just a mark. It was a key, a conduit to the signal's core. She pressed the symbol, and the receiver emitted a high-pitched tone. The vines froze, their red light dimming, and the orb's hum faltered. The projections shifted, revealing a blueprint of the tower. A network of conduits leading to a secondary core, hidden deeper below. A failsafe, built by the founders, to destroy the signal if it grew too powerful. "There's a way to stop it," Elara said, her voice steady despite the chaos. She turned to the Watcher. "You knew, didn't you? That's why you warned us away." The Watcher's expression hardened. "I chose to protect it. You choose to destroy it, and Vrenn falls with it. Are you ready to live with that?" Before Elara could answer, the vines surged again, faster this time, wrapping around Kale's waist and dragging him toward the orb. He roared, firing his rifle, but the bullets sank harmlessly into the glowing mass. Elara's mind raced. The failsafe was their only chance, but reaching it meant diving deeper into the tower, past the signal's defenses. And the Watcher's words echoed. "Vrenn falls with it." She gripped the receiver, its tone still holding the vines at bay, and made her choice. Kale, hold on. We're going down. Chapter 6. Descent into the abyss. Elara dashed forward, her knife flashing as she severed the vine gripping Kale's waist. He gasped, rolling free and snatching up his rifle. The chamber erupted into chaos. The vines thrashed wildly, whipping through the air like serpents, while the orb's hum escalated to a deafening roar that shook the walls. Dust and debris rained from the ceiling, and the holographic projections warped into nightmarish visions, assaulting their senses with flashes of devoured souls. Move! Elara yelled, pulling Kale toward a hidden hatch revealed in the blueprint projection. She twisted the receiver's dial, amplifying the high-pitched tone to disrupt the vine's advance. They recoiled momentarily, buying precious seconds. Kale fired bursts at the encroaching tendrils, bullets tearing through them with bursts of glowing sap. What's the plan? We're not just running blind. The failsafe, Elara shouted over the din, prying open the hatch with her knife. It led to a narrow shaft descending into darkness, lined with flickering conduits that pulsed like veins. It's a neural disruptor, built into the tower's foundation. The founders designed it as a last resort, overloading the signal's psychic network by inverting its own frequencies. Activate it, and it severs the entity's connection to Vrenn, starving it completely. As they dropped into the shaft, sliding down a rusted ladder, the Watcher appeared at the hatch's edge, her face a mask of conflicted fury. You don't understand. I was the first to feed it willingly. My family, gone in the Great Collapse. The signal saved me, gave me purpose. It's not a parasite. It's a god, born not from Vrenn's founders, but from something older. An alien artifact crashed centuries ago, fused with human minds. Destroy it, and you unleash what it was meant to contain. Elara froze on the ladder, the revelation hitting like a shockwave. An alien origin. The projections hadn't shown that. Perhaps the signal hid its true beginnings, a cosmic invader that the founders had tried to harness, not create. But there was no time to question. Vines snaked down the shaft, forcing her to continue. Kale, below her, kicked open a grate into a lower chamber filled with ancient machinery, crystalline nodes humming with suppressed energy. Watcher or not, she's stalling us. He blasted a vine that lunged for Elara, then helped her down. The Watcher descended after them, her circuits flaring as she manipulated her device, summoning smaller tendrils from the walls. I won't let you doom us all. The artifact's power is infinite. The signal tames it. Without it, the raw energy will consume everything. Elara dodged a tendril, her receiver beeping with the failsafe's proximity. The mechanics unfolded in her mind via the blueprint. 3 crystalline nodes to align, each tuned to a counter frequency. 142.7 inverted to disrupt memory feeds, 143.2 to sever psychic links, and a final pulse from her receiver to ignite the overload. But as she reached the first node, the Watcher's words gnawed at her. Was the signal a cage for something worse? A new twist surged through the projections now bleeding into the chamber. Visions of a falling star, an extraterrestrial probe embedding in Vrenn's soil, its AI merging with human consciousness to form the signal. Not a parasite, but a symbiotic guardian warped by time and greed. Destroying it might free the alien entity, unbound and hostile. Kale covered her as she tuned the first node, vines exploding under his fire. Whatever it is, it's killing us now. Decide, Elara. The Watcher charged, her eyes blazing. Join me or perish. Elara activated the node, the chamber shuddering as the failsafe began its chain reaction. The action intensified. Vines converged, the Watcher lunged with enhanced strength from her circuits, and the orb above screamed in psychic agony. But with the twist revealed, Elara wondered if salvation lay not in destruction, but in a new choice. Chapter 7. Echoes of the Past. The chamber quaked as Elara aligned the second node, the inverted frequency ripping through the air like a thunderclap. Vines shattered into shards of light, and the Watcher's advance faltered, her circuits sparking erratically. Kale stood guard, his rifle barking in short, controlled bursts, but his face was pale, etched with more than just the strain of battle. Elara, if she's right, if this thing's holding back something worse, we're not just killing the signal. We're opening a door. Elara's hands shook as she worked, the receiver's tone wavering under the strain. The projections intensified, no longer just visions but invasive memories flooding her mind. She saw the alien artifacts crash, a streak of fire across the sky, centuries ago, embedding in the earth where Vrenn would rise. The founders hadn't harnessed it. They had been chosen by it, their minds woven into its matrix to create the signal as a shield against its own destructive potential. And there, in the flood, was her family's secret. Her great-grandfather, one of the founders, had been the first to merge, imprinting his lineage with a latent connection. That's why her father could decode it, why the receiver responded to her touch. She wasn't just a seeker. She was part of it, a key to its evolution or its undoing. Kale reloaded, his voice cutting through the chaos. I lost my sister to the raiders because of this damn city. She believed in the signal, thought it would protect us. I swore I'd never chase myths again, but then you reminded me of her. Stubborn, chasing hope in the ruins. If we end this, Elara, make sure it's for good. The Watcher, weakened but relentless, grabbed Elara's arm, her eyes pleading now. My name was Lyra. Before the collapse, I was a scholar like your father. My family died when the signal faltered the first time, unleashed energy that raised half the city. I fed it my grief, my knowledge to stabilize it. It's not evil. It's us, twisted by our own fears. Destroy it, and the artifact's raw form awakens, a mindless force that could wipe Vrenn clean. Elara hesitated at the third node, the final pulse ready in her receiver. The tower groaned, cracks spiderwebbing the walls as the failsafe built to critical mass. In that moment, resolution crystallized. Destruction wasn't the answer. Using her lineage's connection, she inverted the process. Not to sever, but to recalibrate. She poured her will into the receiver, merging her memories with the signal, tempering its hunger with empathy, transforming the symbiotic guardian back to its protective origins. The orb above dimmed, vines retracting as the hum softened to a steady pulse. The Watcher, Lyra, collapsed, her circuits fading but alive. You chose balance, she whispered. Vrenn's lights flickered back to life in the distance, the city awakening without the cost of souls. But Elara knew the twist lingered. The artifact's greater threat might still loom, a shadow for another day. For now, the signal was redeemed, and with Kale at her side, she stepped into the uncertain dawn. Chapter 8. The Silent Covenant. The tower trembled as Elara, Kale, and Lyra ascended the spiral ramp, the recalibrated signal humming softly in their wake. The vines, no longer hostile, pulsed with a gentle blue, guiding their path back to the surface. Elara clutched the receiver, its screen now steady at 142.7 MHz, a quiet confirmation of her choice. But the weight of the artifact's origins pressed on her. Its cosmic intelligence, once a beacon, was still buried deep, its true purpose unclear. As they emerged into the rain-soaked ruins, Vrenn's spires glowed faintly in the distance, machines whirring back to life. Yet the air carried a new tension, a faint vibration that wasn't the signal. Elara's receiver flickered, picking up a rogue frequency, 145.1 MHz, emitting a pattern unlike anything she'd heard before. It wasn't the signal's familiar rhythm but a discordant pulse, like a warning from something beyond. Lyra, leaning on Kale for support, noticed the receiver's flicker. "That's not the signal," she said, her voice hoarse. "The artifact, it's reaching out. When I joined it, I saw fragments of its mind. It wasn't fleeing a cataclysm. It was sent here, a scout for something larger. The signal was our leash, keeping it dormant. Your recalibration woke it fully." Elara's blood ran cold. A new twist unfolded through the receiver's projections, faint but undeniable. The artifact wasn't a solitary entity but a node in a network, linked to others across the stars. Its creators, an unseen force, had seeded worlds with these beacons, waiting for civilizations to grow strong enough to activate them. or fall trying. Vrenn's signal had been a test, and Elara's choice had passed it, but at a cost. The artifact was now signaling outward, calling its makers. Kale tightened his grip on his rifle, scanning the horizon. So we saved Vrenn, but we just rang a cosmic bell. Great. Any chance they're friendly? Elara shook her head. The artifact's memories were incomplete, but its creators don't value life as we do. They seek systems, order. If they come, Vrenn might be a resource, not a home. Elara's mind raced, her great-grandfather's legacy burning within her. She saw him in the projections, not just merging with the signal but hiding a final safeguard. The receiver's caged lightning bolt symbol could lock the artifact's signal, preventing its call from reaching the stars. But it required a final sacrifice. Her connection to the signal, her family's bond, severing her ability to ever wield it again. "We can stop it," Elara said, her voice firm. She activated the receiver's lock protocol, a sequence her father had taught her in cryptic lessons she'd never understood until now. The tower shuddered, the rogue frequency fading as the artifact's call was silenced. The vines dimmed, and the projections ceased, leaving only the hum of the restored signal. Elara's eyes widened. "You've bound it again, but it's not dead. It'll try again in time." Kale snorted, lowering his rifle. "Then we'll be ready." "Right, Elara." She nodded, though exhaustion weighed on her. "We've bought time. That's enough for now." As they walked toward Vrenn, Elara spoke softly. "I was wrong to fear you, Elara. Your father would be proud. But the stars are watching. They always have." Epilogue: The New Dawn. 3 months later, Vrenn hummed with cautious life. The signal, tempered by Elara's will, powered the city without its former hunger. Markets reopened, children laughed in the streets, and the spires glowed softly under a clear sky. Elara stood on the same cliff where her journey began, the receiver now silent, its power spent in the tower's final act. She'd given up her connection to the signal, her family's legacy, to save Vrenn from a cosmic threat she could barely comprehend. Kale joined her, his rifle slung casually, a rare smile breaking through his usual scowl. "City's holding. Raiders are backing off, thanks to the defenses you got running again. Not bad for a scavenger." Elara managed a laugh, but her eyes lingered on the horizon. Elara, now a reluctant ally, had joined Vrenn's council, sharing her knowledge to prevent another collapse. Yet her warnings haunted Elara. The artifact's creators were out there, their silence not a promise but a pause. The receiver, though inert, still bore the caged lightning bolt, a reminder of her choice and its cost. In the distance, a faint meteor streaked across the sky, too precise to be random. Elara's heart quickened. The signal was stable, Vrenn was alive, but the stars were stirring. She tightened her grip on the knife at her side, ready for whatever came next.